Michael Vick retired with 22,464 passing yards, 133 touchdown passes, and 6,109 rushing yards, the most by any quarterback in NFL history until Lamar Jackson topped that record. He was a four-time Pro Bowler, the 2010 NFL Comeback Player of the Year, and the first quarterback ever to rush for over 1,000 yards in a single season. He also spent 21 months in federal prison for running a dogfighting operation and had his career derailed at its peak. For over 2 decades, Michael Vick has been one of the most polarizing figures in sports history. Loved by some, hated by others, but impossible to ignore by anyone. So now that we've had time to look back, nearly a decade after he last played, it's time to ask the question that never really got answered. How good was Michael Vick actually? Before we continue, if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe to the channel. Now let's dive in. Let's start at the beginning. Michael Vick's story begins in Newport News, Virginia, not exactly a quarterback factory. Growing up in the Ridley Circle housing projects, Vick wasn't handed anything. He was a left-handed kid who could throw a football through a brick wall and run faster than most running backs. Vick started at Homer L. Ferguson High School, but finished at Warwick High School after Ferguson closed in 1996. In high school at Warwick, he wasn't just good, he was dropping video game numbers in real life. Virginia Tech came calling, and Frank Beamer saw something special. Vick redshirted his freshman year in 1998, but when he finally took the field in 1999, college football had never seen anything like it. As a redshirt freshman, Vick completed 153 of 260 passes for 1,840 yards and 12 touchdowns. But here's the kicker. He also rushed for 580 yards and 5 more touchdowns. His passing efficiency rating of 180.4 was among the top in college football history at that time. Third in Heisman Trophy, voting behind Ron Dayne and Joe Hamilton. Not bad for a 19-year-old kid who was supposed to be learning the system. But it was the 2000 Sugar Bowl against Florida State that announced Vick to the world. The Hokies were massive underdogs against the defending national champions, but Vick threw for 225 yards and a touchdown, while rushing for 97 more yards and another score, helping secure a close game, though Virginia Tech ultimately lost the championship 46-29. The 2000 season was even better. Vick led the Hokies to an 11-1 record and a number 2 ranking in the country. He threw for 1,234 yards and 8 touchdowns, while rushing for 617 yards and 8 more scores in limited action due to injuries before declaring for the NFL draft. The Atlanta Falcons had the first overall pick in 2001, and they had a choice to make. Take the safe pick in LaDainian Tomlinson, or roll the dice on this electric quarterback from Virginia Tech. Dan Reeves and the Falcons made history, selecting Vick with the first pick and making him the first African-American quarterback ever taken first overall. The rookie season was a learning experience. Vick started 8 games, throwing for 785 yards and 2 touchdowns, while adding 289 rushing yards and 1 more score. The Falcons went 7-9, but the flashes were undeniable. This wasn't just another quarterback. This was something completely different. Year 2 brought growing pains. Vick struggled with accuracy and decision-making, throwing for 2,936 yards, 16 touchdowns against 8 interceptions. But he also rushed for 777 yards and 8 touchdowns, showing glimpses of the dual-threat nightmare he could become. The 2004 season was when Vick truly arrived. He threw for 2,313 yards and 14 touchdowns while rushing for 902 yards and 3 more scores. The Falcons went 11-5 and made the NFC Championship game. In the divisional round against the Rams, Vick set a postseason rushing record for a quarterback with 119, rushing along with throwing for 2 touchdowns. The Falcons won 47-17, and Vick had his signature playoff moment. But it was 2006 that showcased peak Michael Vick. He became the first quarterback in NFL history to rush for over 1,000 yards in a single season, finishing with 1,039 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Add in 2,474 passing yards and 20 passing touchdowns, and you had the most dynamic quarterback the league had ever seen. The numbers tell only part of the story. Vick's impact went beyond statistics. He changed how defenses had to prepare for games. Coordinators had to account for his legs on every single play. He could turn a broken pocket into a 60-yard touchdown run. He could throw a perfect spiral while rolling left. something that should be impossible for a left-handed quarterback. But here's where the story takes a dark turn. In April 2007, federal agents raided Michael Vick's property in Virginia, uncovering evidence of a dogfighting operation called Bad News Kennels. The investigation revealed that Vick had been financing and promoting dogfighting, including the brutal killing of underperforming dogs by hanging, drowning, and electrocution. Vick initially denied direct involvement, but later admitted to participating in the executions of several dogs after failing a polygraph test. In August 2007, Vick pleaded guilty to federal conspiracy charges relating to dogfighting and was sentenced in December to 23 months in federal prison. The NFL suspended him indefinitely without pay following his guilty plea. Vick's career, which had been on an upward trajectory, came to an abrupt halt at age 27, just as he was entering his prime years, and he began serving his prison sentence. This scandal became one of the most notorious in sports history and significantly impacted his legacy. The fall was swift and brutal. Nike terminated his endorsement deal. The Falcons demanded back $37 million in bonus money. Vick filed for bankruptcy. The man who had been the face of the NFL's new generation of quarterbacks became a pariah overnight. But here's where Michael Vick's story becomes something different. Something about redemption and second chances. After serving 18 months in federal prison and 2 months in home confinement, Vick was released in July 2009. The NFL reinstated him conditionally, and the Philadelphia Eagles took a chance on him with a 1-year contract. The 2009 season was about proving he belonged. Vick had limited action, mostly as a backup to Donovan McNabb. He threw for 86 yards and completed 6 of 13 passes. Not spectacular, but it was a start. Then came 2010, and this is where Vick reminded everyone just how good he actually was. When McNabb was traded to Washington, the 2010 season was pure magic. Vick completed 233 of 372 passes for 3,018 yards and 21 touchdowns with just 6 interceptions. His completion percentage of 62.6% was a career high. His passer rating of 100.2 was elite territory, but it was his legs that reminded everyone why he was special. 100 carries for 676 yards and 9 touchdowns. Vick was named NFL Comeback Player of the Year, and it wasn't even close and earned his 4th Pro Bowl nod. The Monday Night Football game against Washington was vintage Vick. 413 total yards, 6 total touchdowns, and a performance that had the entire football world talking. This wasn't just a comeback story, this was a reminder that when healthy and focused, Michael Vick was still the most dynamic quarterback in football. The 2011 season brought a massive contract extension. 6 years, $100 million, with $40 million guaranteed. The Eagles believed they had their franchise quarterback for the next decade. Vick responded with 3,303 passing yards and 18 touchdowns, though he also threw 14 interceptions and dealt with injuries throughout the season. But the magic of 2010 proved to be lightning in a bottle. Injuries began to mount. Vick's body started breaking down. The Eagles went 8-8 in 2011, and questions started swirling about whether Vick could stay healthy enough to be a franchise quarterback. The final years of Vick's career were a slow fade. Stints with the Jets and Steelers as a backup, trying to recapture the magic that had made him special. He retired after the 2015 season and officially announced his retirement in 2017 with numbers that tell the story of what could have been. So how good was Michael Vick actually? Let's break it down. From a pure talent perspective, Vick was generational. His combination of arm strength and mobility had never been seen before and has rarely been matched since. He could make throws that other quarterbacks couldn't even attempt, and he could run past linebackers who were supposed to be faster than him. The numbers support the eye test. 6,109 career rushing yards, a record that stood until Lamar Jackson surpassed it recently. 36 rushing touchdowns, the first quarterback to rush for over 1,000 yards in a season. These aren't just good numbers, these are historic numbers. But here's where it gets complicated. Vick's passing numbers were never elite. 22,464 career passing yards ranks him outside the top 50 all time. His completion percentage of 56.2% was below average for his era. His touchdown to interception ratio of 133-88 was solid, but not spectacular. The advanced metrics paint a similar picture. Vick's career passer rating of 80.4 was good, but not great. His QBR numbers were consistently above average, but rarely elite. He was a good passer who happened to be an incredible athlete, not an incredible passer who happened to be athletic. The playoff record tells another story. Vick was 2-3 in the postseason with the Falcons and the Eagles during his tenure as starter. For all his regular season heroics, Vick never quite figured out how to translate that success to January football. But here's what the numbers don't capture: Vick's impact on the game itself. He changed how teams had to prepare for quarterbacks. He forced defensive coordinators to account for the run on every single play. He opened the door for the dual-threat quarterbacks who dominate the league today. Look at Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, and Justin Fields. They all owe a debt to Michael Vick. He proved that a quarterback could be a legitimate rushing threat without sacrificing arm talent. He showed that mobility wasn't just about escaping pressure, it could be a weapon. The cultural impact was just as significant. Vick was must-see TV. His jersey sales were through the roof. Kids across the country wanted to play quarterback because of Michael Vick. He brought a style and flair to the position that had never existed before. But we can't talk about Vick's legacy without addressing the elephant in the room. The dogfighting scandal wasn't just a mistake. It was a moral failing that cost him the prime years of his career and damaged his reputation permanently. Some fans will never forgive him, and that's their right. However, Vick's response to his downfall deserves recognition. He served his time, paid his debt to society, and became an advocate for animal rights. He worked with the Humane Society to educate people about the horrors of dogfighting. He didn't just apologize, he tried to make amends. The question of how good Vick actually was depends on how you define good. If you're talking about pure talent and athletic ability, he was generational. If you're talking about sustained excellence and championship success, he falls short. If you're talking about impact on the game and popular culture, he was transformational. Vick's career was ultimately defined by what-ifs. What if he had stayed healthy? What if he had better coaching early in his career? What if he had made better decisions off the field? What if he hadn't lost those prime years to prison? The truth is, we'll never know how good Michael Vick could have been at his absolute peak. We got glimpses in 2004, 2006, and 2010, but never a sustained run of elite play. Injuries, poor decision-making, and legal troubles prevented him from reaching his full potential. But here's what we do know. Michael Vick was one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play the game. He was a pioneer who changed how we think about the position. He was flawed, human, and ultimately more complex than his highlight reel suggests. In the end, Michael Vick was really good. Not great, but really good. He was a Pro Bowl-level quarterback with Hall of Fame-level athleticism, who never quite put it all together for long enough to be considered elite. He was a cautionary tale about wasted potential and a redemption story about second chances. Most importantly, he was unforgettable. Love him or hate him, you couldn't ignore Michael Vick. And in a league full of talented players, being unforgettable might be the most important thing of all. What do you think? Was Michael Vick underrated, overrated, or properly rated? Where does he rank among the quarterbacks of his generation? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.